You've tried to get your cat's attention before. You've called their name, patted the cushion beside you, made the small sounds you know they recognize, and they've looked at you, fully looked at you, and then looked away, settled back into their position, decided without apparent deliberation that they would not be coming over. It's a specific kind of rejection, not hostile, not even particularly intentional. Just a clean, uncomplicated no, and you sit with it in a way you probably wouldn't admit out loud. Then later, maybe an hour later, maybe 3, they walk across the room and climb onto your lap without invitation. Or they press against your leg in the kitchen while you're standing at the counter. Or they find you in the middle of the night and curl against your back, warm and deliberate, while you're half asleep and not asking for anything. And something about that moment feels different from any moment when you asked for it and received it. It feels like something was given rather than granted. That feeling, the specific weight of being chosen on their terms, is what this video is about. Because what looks like indifference isn't, and what feels like random affection isn't random. There is a logic to both, and once you understand it, the rejection stops feeling like rejection, and the choice starts feeling exactly as significant as it already does. Here's the honest version of what's happening. Your cat is not performing aloofness. They are not punishing you. They are operating from a set of principles about safety and trust that are so deeply embedded in their biology that the behavior makes complete sense once you understand the architecture behind it. Cats are not pack animals. They did not evolve to coordinate with a group, to seek constant proximity, to require social contact the way dogs do. They evolved as solitary hunters who needed to read their environment accurately at all times, because an error in judgment could mean injury. An injury for a solitary hunter meant death. The system that kept them alive was a system of careful, independent evaluation. They trusted what they verified. They approached what they had assessed. They withheld until they were certain. That system did not disappear when cats moved into human homes. It is still the operating code. So when your cat ignores you, they are not being cold. They are being exactly the creature they were built to be. One who does not override careful judgments with social pressure. One who doesn't come simply because they were called. One who waits until the internal assessment says the time is right. The timing of that assessment is something most people misread. When a cat turns away from an invitation, it's often interpreted as disinterest. But feline behavior researchers have consistently noted that cats who appear unresponsive are frequently in what's called an active resting state, physically still, but cognitively engaged. They're monitoring, processing, continuing to gather information about the environment and the people in it. Your cat is not ignoring you. Your cat is watching you. There is a significant difference, and it matters for what comes next. What comes next is the choice. And the choice, the moment they cross the room without being asked, the moment they find you in the dark, the moment they settle into contact with you when you haven't requested it, is not random. It follows a pattern of internal readiness that your cat has been building toward through all those apparently indifferent hours. The approach when it comes is not impulsive. It is the conclusion of an evaluation that has been running in the background the entire time. Your cat is reading you constantly. Your scent, your breathing, your posture, your cortisol levels, the micro expressions your face makes when you think no one is watching. They build a detailed model of your state, and they approach when the model tells them the conditions are right. When you're calm, when you're not performing need or frustration, when you have, intentionally or not, become exactly the kind of presence they determined was worth approaching. Most owners never realize how thoroughly their cat is tracking them. They think the cat is sleeping, the cat is cataloguing. I put together a complete guide covering exactly that layer, the signals cats send and the signals they read from you that most people never learn to recognize. It's called What Your Cat is Hiding, and the link is in the description. If you've ever felt like your cat understands you on a level you can't fully explain, that guide is going to show you why that feeling is more accurate than you think. There's a second layer here that goes deeper than biology, and it's the part that tends to stay with people. Cats form genuine attachments. The research on this has grown substantially in recent years, and it challenges the older narrative of the cat as an indifferent creature who merely tolerates human company. Studies on feline attachment style, using adaptations of the same secure base tests used with human infants, have shown that cats exhibit meaningful variation in how they bond. Roughly 2/3 of domestic cats show secure attachment to their primary caregiver. They use that person as a base. They monitor their presence. They respond to their return. But, and this is the part that matters for understanding the ignoring, a securely attached cat does not need to express that attachment constantly. A secure bond is, by definition, one that doesn't require constant reinforcement. The cat knows you are there. The cat knows you will be there. The bond doesn't require maintenance through continuous proximity the way an anxious attachment does. The ignoring in this reading is not a sign that the bond is weak. It may be a sign that the bond is strong enough, that the cat doesn't feel compelled to perform it. What this means is that the cat who ignores you and then chooses you is not giving you mixed signals. They are giving you the most coherent signal possible. I am secure enough in this relationship that I don't need to constantly demonstrate it. And when I come to you, it's because I genuinely want to, not because I'm anxious about losing you. That distinction between coming to you out of need and coming to you out of choice is where the meaning lives. When a creature who could survive without you, who is not driven by pack instinct or separation anxiety to seek your constant approval, decides of its own evaluation to close the distance between you, that decision carries a different weight than contact that comes from dependency. The people who understand this tend to describe a shift in how they receive the moments of approach. They stop trying to extend the contact. They stop trying to provoke a repeat. They hold still and let the moment be what it is because they've understood that it was given, not owed, and that grasping at it would misread what made it significant. There's a pattern in the stories people share about this that appears across different breeds, different households, different relationships. The cat that spends years being mostly unavailable, watchful but not warm, present but not close, and then during a period of genuine difficulty for the owner, begins showing up, sitting closer, staying longer, arriving uninvited in the early morning hours, and remaining there. It happens often enough that it's documented in behavioural literature. Cats respond to elevated stress hormones in their owners with increased proximity behaviour. They are not, as they are sometimes dismissed, simply attracted to a warm body. The response is targeted. It is specifically directed at the person they are bonded to in the moments when that person's internal state registers something that requires a response. They chose you before. You didn't realise it because it looked like indifference, but the watching was a form of choosing, deciding you were worth understanding, worth tracking, worth returning to on their own terms. The indifference was never indifference. It was the space in which the choice was being built. And when the choice finally arrives, crossing the room without invitation, settling in without prompting, finding you in the dark when you didn't ask to be found, it is the outcome of everything that came before it. There's something worth sitting with in that. Not every creature that loves you will announce it on your schedule. Not every bond expresses itself in the language you are expecting. Some of the most genuine attachments look from the outside like distance, until the moment they don't, and you understand, in retrospect, that the distance was just the form the attention took. If your cat has done this, ignored you for hours, and then chosen you without warning, tell me about it in the comments. Describe the moment. What were you doing when they came? How long had they been keeping their distance before? I want to hear how this shows up in real households, because the consistency of it across so many different people and cats says something that I think is worth saying out loud. The moment of being chosen by something that didn't have to choose you, That specific quality of being approached by a creature operating from genuine preference rather than obligation or need is not a small thing. People feel it immediately, even if they struggle to articulate why. It's because genuine choice, unmotivated by dependency or social pressure, is rarer than we think. Most of the affection we receive from other people is partly structural, shaped by expectation, by relationship roles, by what we've asked for, and what we've built together. It carries obligation inside it, even when it's sincere. The cat's approach carries none of that. It is purely elective. When it happens, you feel the difference without being able to explain it. This is also why the ignoring, once you understand it, stops feeling like something to take personally. The cat who walks away from your invitation is not saying you're not worth approaching. They're saying the conditions aren't right yet. They are still in the process of deciding, still watching, still building the picture. The evaluation is ongoing, not concluded, and when the evaluation concludes in your favour, you'll know. They'll tell you the only way they know how, by crossing the room and making contact without anyone asking them to. The thing that strikes people most, once they understand this, is how much time the cat has already spent choosing them. Every day that the cat is in the room with them, watchful, quiet, apparently indifferent, is a day the cat decided to stay. Decided this environment was safe. Decided this person was worth monitoring. The choosing doesn't begin the moment the cat climbs into your lap. It began the first time they settled into a room you were in and didn't leave. You've been chosen for longer than you realised. The lap was just the announcement. Next time your cat walks away from you, try holding that thought instead of the rejection. They haven't decided against you. They've decided it isn't time yet. And when the time comes, they'll show you. Without warning, without drama, without asking you to acknowledge what it means. They'll just show up and close the distance, and that will be all the language they need. If you've seen this in your cat, the long distance followed by the unexpected choice, tell me about it in the comments. What were you doing when they finally came? I want to hear it, because I think the consistency of these moments across so many different people and animals says something that deserves to be said out loud. It's worth being specific about what the research actually shows, because the popular framing of cats as solitary and emotionally unavailable has been substantially revised in the last decade. Studies from Oregon State University and others have demonstrated that cats distinguish meaningfully between their primary caregiver and strangers, not just in proximity behaviour, but in the quality of attention they direct toward each. When placed in an unfamiliar environment, cats consistently use their primary person as a secure base, checking in, orienting toward them, using their presence as information about whether the situation is safe. This is not the behaviour of an animal that has merely learned to tolerate a particular human. It is the behaviour of an animal that has formed a specific directional bond. What's particularly interesting is how the cats who register as securely attached tend to behave when reunited with their person after a separation. They don't rush over frantically. They often appear, at first glance, almost indifferent. A brief glance, a return to whatever they were doing, a delayed approach. This is sometimes read as coldness. Behaviourally, it maps much more closely to what's called secure attachment behaviour in human infants, the ability to regulate the reunion without being overwhelmed by it, which is actually a marker of a well-functioning bond rather than a weak one. The cat that greets you calmly and then approaches on its own schedule is not less attached than the cat that throws itself at the door. It may be more securely attached. The equanimity is information. The slow crossroom approach, 10 minutes after you arrived home, is not an afterthought. It is the expression of a bond stable enough that it doesn't require urgency to prove itself. Understanding this changes something. The cat that mostly ignores you and then chooses you stops looking like a creature offering you crumbs. They start looking like a creature offering you something quite specific. Contact that isn't shaped by anxiety or performance or dependency. Contact that is, as purely as anything in a relationship can be, simply about you.